Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Village of Bartlett Committee of the Whole meeting for January 16, 2018. I call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Kammer?
Here.
Carbonaro?
Here.
Deyne?
Here.
Cabrera? Here. Hopkins?
Here.
Ranky?
Here.
Only item on our agenda this evening is under Finance and Golf Committee. Chairman Deyne.
Thank you, Mr. President. The only thing we have is the standing committee structure change. And just briefly, the village board reviewed the standing committee structures of the village board of trustees. The cause of the review was the lack of items that fall under the building committee, and a suggestion that it be combined with the planning and zoning committee to form the building and zoning committee. The board also discussed creating an economic and community development committee. All other committees would remain the same. This would keep the number of standing committees at 6 and better distribute the workload of the trustees. And I've asked Scott if you could add anything to that.
The only thing I would add is this idea came from the mayor due to the lack of items on the building committee. We looked back over a 2-year span. I think we only had 2 or 3 items. So based on the discussion that the board had at the last meeting, we looked at combining planning and zoning with building. So you would have building and zoning, and eliminating the building, combining that, and then that would leave 1 standing committee report left. And the proposal is to have it as Economic and Community Development Committee, spacing out the workload and having more items for the committees going forward.
I'm in favor of that plan. I know I sat on the building commission for 2 years, and I think I got 1 item. And I think that was borderline whether it even should have been on building committee. So
The fact that, it's pretty common knowledge that we're looking at combining some of the committees and whatnot, or changing, whatever the case may be. And some of the people that I've talked to, they were excited about the Community Development Committee. And, we were talking about, having events possibly where we could have the residents participate, come into the downtown area, enjoy downtown Bartlett. And I know that we've talked, about an Oktoberfest, but there were some other things that were added to this afterwards during the last couple of weeks. The Fire Association used to have a street dance, for example. That no longer exists. I don't know I believe it was the Park District that had the bands at the gazebo. I think they were responsible for that, not the village, or some organization in town was. And also, quite simply, we can maybe work something out where we could have a family golf outing, where we could just gather the residents of this community to help enjoy our community. Now, I don't know if the Community Development Committee would focus in on something like that, and if not, then I think that we should have some type of committee that could focus in on having some events. I've only listed a few here, but there are other, I'm sure people would have other ideas on events where we could have our residents come into the downtown area and enjoy Bartlett, or at Bartlett Hills, or at Bartlett Park, wherever the case may be. But I'd like to see, if we're going to create a committee of some type, I'd like to see some focus in on those type of specialized events.
If you recall, during the strategic plan process, I think the idea of Bartlett Blues barbecue came up.
Right, there you go.
We actually met with the Park District last week to talk about a possible event, working together on something like that. We are waiting for another event in town to see what the status of that is. We'll probably know in the next few weeks, and we'll be working with them, and that would be something that would fall under that committee.
Because, we all know that the events that we currently have by other organizations are well represented, well attended. And, I would just like to see if we can't, continue with that.
I too like the idea of the Economic and Community Development Committee, so I think it would be a good thing.
Thank you.
So from there, if the board wants to proceed, it would have to be passed by ordinance, which we can have ready for the next meeting. And then at that point, I think it would be up to the mayor to decide who stands on what and when those committees would begin.
Yeah. We'll start them and I'll appoint, can we approve it and appoint it at the same meeting? So I'll approve and appoint it at the same meeting. So let's do it the first meeting in February. If everybody's in favor of that. Does it require a vote?
No, discussion only.
All right.
But conceptually, these committees are, it's going to actually divvy up the work
Yeah.
more evenly.
Yes. And
Is that really going to happen, or?
I think it really needs to happen, and I thank Trustee Ranky for dropping the seed in my head a year ago. Things like sister city relationship should be part of community development. Things like working with the Economic Development Commission should be economic and community development, and, yeah. So, good point.
Well done.
So be ready to, you guys are gonna go on a lot of more fun stuff. Is that all you have, Chairman?
That's it, I'm sorry. Yes,
Thank you, Chairman
that was
Deyne.
what we had this evening.
That'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved second.
Moved by Trustee Cameron, second by Trustee Deyne. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Cameron,
Yes.
Carbonaro,
Yes.
Deyne,
Yes.
Cabrera,
Yes.
Hopkins,
Yes.
Ranky.
Yes.
We are adjourned.